Welcome to my podcast series, The Best Thing to Design is You. This episode is called Single Again. Today I'm talking about the shift from being in a marriage or partnership to being single. Whether you chose this path or it chose you, it's a brave new world. Things are in play now that you probably never imagined. Now, we all know that being alone itself can be a bit sad, a bit lonely, for sure. It's almost like we expect that to happen. We accept it. We may not like it, but we know it could happen. I mean, some days are fine, others are not so fabulous, but we're dealing with it. It's kind of like we can comprehend that this is going to happen. But what I'm going to talk about is much more than that. This isn't really just about how you feel, it's about how the world now views and treats you. And I'm talking specifically about single women. It's like the world all of a sudden sees you differently now. And it happens, boom, in an instant. You used to be in a partnership, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, or somewhere in between all that. But in your world and your social circles, you were in a relationship. It's safe. He's with her, she's with him, everyone is happy. Everyone knows the boundaries, and everyone gets it. But when that ends, it all changes. It's amazing. All of your relationships change. It actually really sucks because everything in your life has just changed so dramatically, and what you'd really like is some stability in your friends and stability in your family relationships. But dare I say, even the family relationships are about to change and shift. It's like everything has changed and nothing has changed. Weird. You're the same person, but you're now without a partner. So guess what? What was really changed is society's perception of you, how people view you, not necessarily how you view yourself. Those same people in your life now just see you differently, don't they? Their perception of you is altered. And guess what, guys? This is your new reality. What you're feeling right now is reality. They always say that perception is reality. Well, in this case, it's absolutely true. Boom, you're single. Whew. Now you walk into the room alone, and let's just say you walk up to a couple. Who do you talk to? You start doing this weird little tennis matchy thing, looking back and forth between the two, because they're both talking to you and you've got to talk to both. If you talk too much to the man, it seems like you're flirting. If you talk too much to the woman, the man gets kind of bored. And in 2 seconds, you're in this bizarre triangle. Yes, of course, we've spoken to a couple before on our own, but the perception is so different because your partner was still there. He might have been across the room, but he was there. So you were somehow treated a little differently. It's totally different when you walk into a room with a partner and they go one way and you go the other. It's like everybody knows that you're both there. But trust me, when you're on your own now, it's very different. And my goodness, a word of advice that was given to me that's very valuable. Don't touch the opposite sex, because if you do, especially obviously touching a man on the arm or give him an air kiss or something like that, it just looks like, and it almost feels like you're coming on to him. And people from across the room will see this. Honestly, out of the corner of their eye, they're going to make assumptions, which are 90% of the time false. But trust me, they assume it's something else. People just believe that because you're single, you're suddenly desperate and you're just in need of another partner straight away, whether or not that's accurate. But it is the way society views these things. The next layer of this is after you lose a partner, there's a good chance you're going to shed a bit of weight. It's just this funny thing that happens. Maybe it's a silver lining. I mean, sometimes it's sadness or stress, or maybe you just suddenly hit the gym, but nonetheless, it always seems to happen. So you're probably looking pretty good. So like I said, silver lining, perhaps subconsciously we know in the back of our heads, hold on, I'm single, I need to look good again. I'm not sure. I just know that it happens. And there's a very, very good chance that you will. Maybe it's because you start to focus on yourself. Or you go, you know what, things have changed. And you do these things to make you feel better and therefore look better. It's a little bit like when you have children and you look at your wardrobe and say, none of this looks like me anymore. I was speaking to somebody the other day that told me exactly that after her third child, she just looked at her wardrobe and said, none of my clothes work. This is just not me. I don't even know who I am anymore. So yes, society sees you a different way. And there is a point in time when you start realizing that things have changed. So I think that happens again when you become single. Like, what do I wear now? It's kind of weird, but it's true. So like I said, everything's changed and nothing's changed. The truth is, you kind of need some new stuff. That old married you just seems a little weird now. So you possibly do go shopping and doing some things now that you're working on yourself again. So you, my dear, are now a bit of a threat. It's a little sad to say, because even though you start looking and feeling a little bit better, it's a shame that you start getting treated poorly. Women see you as a threat. Men act a bit nervous talking to you in case somebody might think something. Whereas when you were married, you didn't matter. You could go straight up to that same person and go blah, blah, blah. But all of a sudden, you're single and you're treated differently. I have literally had women turn their backs on me at a kids' basketball match for no reason. They didn't even really know me very well. I was just sitting on the bench and they literally turned. I hadn't done anything socially wrong. It was this weird, icky feeling. And I just had to think, you know what? I don't care. I am just here to watch my child play sport. I sincerely hope I never did that to anybody before. Maybe I did. I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't do it now. I mean, what about this so-called girl code? It's just hilarious because it kind of suddenly gone. They trusted you yesterday and now they don't. Now, the really super secure can trust you and handle it no matter what. You might still get invited to their house for dinner, possibly. And guess what? It's not that they don't love you anymore. It really isn't. Or that they don't want to be your friend anymore. It's not that. They're just, I think, in their defense, confused. And like I said, sometimes possibly threatened. So, it's going to be a little awkward. They also stop inviting you to things. And this is what happens. Your girlfriends who are miserable in relationships suddenly want to see you a lot. You friends who are content in their relationships stop inviting you to dinner because it's just weird. It's just an odd number. But you do get invited out for lots of coffees and lots of lunches, lots and lots and lots of coffees with women. And I think that's okay, right? You might find that when you do go out with your married friends for lunch or something and you're ready for a nice afternoon, they need to have their lunch and get going. Just when you think you're settling in, they suddenly have to leave. I've had that happen several times. And that's okay. It's probably what you used to do when you were married. It's understandable, but it's still super hard. Okay, right. So we know this is our challenge. What are you supposed to do? I'm going to give you some tips from my own experience. There's a lot of smart things that you can do. First of all, be prepared about it. But number one, let's just say, realize and accept that this is the truth. It's your challenge. You can't ignore it. Remember, you're not going to get away with just thinking, it's just their problem. I just don't care. Well, it's actually wrong. It is your problem because you have to manage it. So we have to accept that we have to deal with it. Next, be proud of yourself for getting that far. And if you do look good, pat yourself on the back. Good for you. Don't feel pressured to race out and find a new man to overcome this awkwardness. That is not going to fix the issue. Don't assume that you also have to race out to bars, unless that's what you want to do. For some people, that's great. For me, kind of not my thing. It's really just up to you, but don't feel pressured to do it. Understand that this does not happen to men. This is a really bizarre women thing. I don't think men treat each other this way, and I don't think a man walking up to a couple and having a chat would have that same awkwardness that I described. This is a woman thing. And as much as I hate to say this, and I do, from a totally social point of view, it's best to talk mostly to women at these functions. Sorry. If you create some amazing conversation with a husband about work or whatever you want to talk about, and his partner can't be involved with that discussion, good chance she's all of a sudden going to resent you. And I've already mentioned this. This is key. It came from my therapist. Never touch the opposite sex. When she first told me that, I thought, wow, that's harsh. But then I thought long and hard about it and went, yep, she's right. Everyone will think you're coming on to him. He might, his wife might, and the ones that really do are somebody that just happens to see you from across the room. Weird. Last, despite the fact that you need to be aware and perhaps cautious of how the world sees you with men right now, you're going to need some male energy. Obviously, if you can make some male friends, fantastic. But we all know that that can be a bit tricky. Say no more, right? But if you can make male friends, fabulous. My therapist alerted me to that as well, and this necessity for male energy, and I think there's clever ways that you can achieve that. For example, if you get a massage and you have a choice, ask for a man. Just having a man touch you is really positive. Hire a male PT, not a female one. If you work with men, great. If not, find organizations where you can come in contact with them. If you just surround yourself with women all the time, it becomes a little bit counterproductive. You need both. If you're into a sport, by all means do something that involves men if you can. I'll even go as far as to say read male blogs, listen to male podcasts. I think just like having a bit of male energy in my life helps me a lot. It's a different perspective on things too. Now, if you hate all the stuff that I just said, that's cool. I get it. It's very weird, but the social norms around us are real. It's funny and ironic, but it's true. The really weird thing is that you are the one that's hurting. You're the one that while you're hurting has to be aware and empathetic to everyone else. Recognize this the next time something funny comes along, and be confident in this knowledge that you can do this. It's a brave new world being single again, but as a woman, you will work your way through it, just like you've done everything else. I'm sure you've had bigger challenges. Absolutely positive. The good news in all of this, the highlight of it all, is that you are the one who is growing in this scenario. I'll say it again because it's so important. Through all of this, you are the one that's growing. You're learning how to manage the situation, how to be empathetic and sympathetic to everyone else's needs. It's amazing. You will work this out, I'm sure. And remember too, and I'll leave you with this, adversity breeds strength. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in anything else, go to debrapascoe.com.